My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess, I still believe, Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time. Oh, hey, didn't notice you guys there. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to do a video about the physical media trap. So a lot of physical media collectors are new to the hobby. There's a lot of people who have been collecting for years, like myself, but there's also a lot of new people to the hobby. So in today's video, I want to kind of do one about the physical media traps, because there are a lot of physical media traps, and they may not be evident straight away, but you're going to figure out today what I'm talking about. So Geraldo, what do you think I should tell him about first? Geraldo, this is Geraldo. He's one of our icons on this channel. And I think he wants me to tell you about the overspending problem first. So with physical media, in particular 4K at the moment, there is a lot of stuff coming out on 4K. There is a lot of stuff that is already out on 4K. So 4K has really overtaken now Blu-ray as the main format. For years and years, it was still kind of catching up in terms of catalog. Now the catalog's really broad in terms of what it's offering. So there is an idea that you have to go out and buy everything straight away. There is an idea that you need to go out and buy it right now. Like, it's got to be bought right now. If you don't get it right now, then you're missing out or whatever. Sometimes waiting's better, and this is one of the traps. I got into the trap early on. Something I've talked about recently is they're coming back out with movies like Jurassic Park and the Jurassic Park franchise with Dolby Vision. This one does not have Dolby Vision. This is the original on 4K. So they're going back remastering some of these older films now for an updated scope of what they offer on 4K, like Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, all these little benefits that you can get with a new edition, whereas the old edition you don't get that with. So one of the traps is sometimes waiting's better. Now, in the case of waiting for limited editions, if you wanted that limited edition of your favorite movie or whatever, then certainly waiting might not be the smartest move. If you want to get that limited edition, obviously limited editions, they are very limited. But let's just say you want a Dawn of the Dead and you didn't care about the limited edition. From my understanding, they've come out with a different edition of this now, the standard edition. So you can get the standard edition, so you don't have to pay overpriced for a limited edition copy. And also, editions around the world can go for different amounts of money. So, you know, I've got the collector's edition right there. There's also another one, Midnight Factory here, that has Dawn of the Dead in it on 4K as well. Now, this is the one that was Midnight Factory. This is the Argento cut mostly. But it also has different cuts of Dawn of the Dead. I don't know if you can see that, but there are different cuts of Dawn of the Dead there. So there are different ways to collect things. And one of the traps with that is that we have this incentive to go out and buy straight away. And we kind of get lured into it by marketing, by the first time on 4K. First time to get this movie. It's never going to be released again. Limited amount run. The thing about 4K Blu-ray in particular is it's never limited. They might do a first print of something, but if it does really well, they will come back and remaster it or do some feature that's like, okay, we did really well with that on 4K, so let's go and do another release, but we can't do the same release we did before, so we've got to put something different on there so that it's different enough to what was on the limited edition. That's one of the traps they catch a lot of collectors out with. Buying first because you don't know if they're going to come out with it again. I mean, in particular, the Columbia Classics up here have movies on them that still haven't come out individually. I think Oliver is still on one of these that, and it might be box 2. Oliver is one of the great movies. I don't think that's ever been released standalone outside of the Columbia Classics. I could be wrong there. I know there's people who take them out of the box and then resell them. But for me, I bought that because I didn't know if they were going to do that. Let's bring Geraldo back into the frame. But also, when you get into physical media, there are a lot of traps. You know, the size of the collection you really want to collect. That's another big trap. You get into this mindset as a collector of, I need to collect everything. I've got to justify that I'm a collector. I've got to prove that I'm a collector. If I don't have X amount of Blu-rays, X amount of DVDs, X amount of 4Ks, then the other collectors are going to say I'm not a real collector. And that can make a lot of people make decisions like I did. I wanted to compete with Netflix. My thing was competing with Netflix and also other YouTubers. But I wanted to compete with Netflix and all those streaming services, Amazon, Paramount Plus, Stan in Australia. I want to compete with all of them. That's why I bought a lot of stuff that I consider what is called bloat. And what I mean by bloat is movies that I'll never rewatch again, like old I'll never rewatch again. I probably won't watch that again, but I own it. And that's the question. When you buy a lot of bloat for the collection, you kind of get into this mindset of you try to justify how much you spend. You try to justify, okay, I can at least say I have it in the collection. So if I ever do have that desire to go back and watch it, it's straight in the collection. I can justify having it. But then you start having a look at things like, and these lights are very bright, so if I'm squinting a little bit, it's because the lights are very bright. Geraldo, do you reckon I should turn the lights down? Do you reckon I should? I mean, the guys don't matter. They don't mind if I turn them down. Do you reckon? I'm just going to turn them down a bit, okay? I'll turn them down. There we go. We'll turn that one down, and we'll turn this one blaring straight into my eyes down a bit. There we go. Now we don't have to have blaring into our eyes. Okay, so this is the positivity channel, and that one's flickering for some reason, so let's turn that down a bit more. So, with physical media, one of the big traps as well is that, and I've mentioned this in a recent video, a lot of collectors will say, oh, you have part of the collection, you have the Fast and Furious. Let's just say you liked the Fast and the Furious, the first movie. Let's just say you liked that and maybe Too Fast, Too Furious. Maybe the original three. Let's just say Tokyo Drift is one of your favorites as well. Let's just say you like the original three of these. What happens in collector communities is they will say, oh, well, you have three parts of the collection. Why don't you just go out and collect the rest of it? Buy the rest of the Fast and the Furious. Hey, why would you only partly complete the collection? And this is a trap we get into as physical media collectors as well, of needing to complete the collection. It's part of the reason why I've said I might even sell, if I can tilt this up a bit, I might even sell my Stranger Things collection up here, because there is a bit of a trap with those right behind me, that they're not going to put out seasons 3 through 5 on 4K or anything like that. And that's a bit of an issue for the completionist in me, because I want to complete the set. Now, I could be just happy with season 1 and 2, but the completionist in me will not feel complete until I have the full set. There is a reason why when I bought Orange is the New Black, I've got all the seasons, but I'll just pull this season. I had to import for a silly amount the final season from Germany, because they never put it out anywhere else from my understanding. This was only released in Germany, so I imported the German release. Now, it could be the case that it was made somewhere else. It could be the case that it was available somewhere else. But for me, I had to complete the set. And this is what I'm saying. There is a lot of instances with physical media collectors in particular where we do this. I did it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. Let's pull Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if I can get it out of the thing, because it's very jammed in. And I know you guys talk about this a lot, but I really need to rearrange my bookcases. But I imported from Japan Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the final 2 seasons. Not available in the Western world, not available in the US, not available in Australia, not available in the UK. These were only available in Japan. So I imported the Japan releases because, A, I wanted to complete the set. It's not one of my favorite TV shows. I mean, it's Marvel, so I'm a big fan of Marvel and DC and all that. So that's why I said I'll complete it. But I didn't really need to import these, and that's the thing. We get into the trap of completionist mindset. We need to complete something. If we see something that's not complete, it will drive us insane. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of companies that take advantage of us being completionists. There are a lot of companies that will be like, oh, we know they've got all the Matrix right now. We know they've got all the Matrix, all 3 Matrix, so let's put out another Matrix. And then you'll see box sets that are kind of messed up, where that kind of becomes a problem. Like, one thing I've talked about recently is they're going to probably make another season of 24. Kiefer Sutherland's already in talks. They're already doing the treatment for it. They're trying to figure out how to bring Jack Bauer back. Is it going to be 12 episodes or 24 episodes? They're trying to figure out what it's going to look like, from my understanding. And this light is really flickering, so I'm going to turn that back up because it's getting really annoying now. It's getting very, very annoying. If it's going to go up, I don't know if it's going to go up. We're going to see if that's going to go up. There we go. Now we're actually looking a bit thing. And why does it look like I'm doing Batista? It looks like, you know, the Batista thing. I walk alone. That's a mad song, by the way. But yeah, 24. What happens if they come out with another season of 24? What happens then is, and that's making sound now. We'll just put it on orange. We'll make it a bit of a different color then. But yeah, 24. If they did another season of 24, then that box set is going to be basically, I'll need to put another Blu-ray there. And this is the Japan Blu-ray set, by the way. It's not something you can readily get in Australia or the US or anything. It was only made in Japan. I imported that one. But this is the thing. If they did another season and put it out on Blu-ray, I'll have to find space in that. It's one of the problems that Prison Break had. I had this released where it left a space for the next season. It left a space. Now, obviously, I took the thing out of there. I think I got the thing down here. I do have the thing down here. I had this in there, and this was just a filler for the next season of Prison Break. So I got the next season and put it in there when I got it. So I got all the seasons in there. But sometimes not all things do that with box sets, and it drives us crazy as completionists to then have to figure it out, you know? How are we going to do this? So the trap of that is that you get into a completionist mindset and you overspend to get that completionist mindset, like importing from Japan, importing from Germany, importing from another Japan release, you know? You get into that completionist mindset, and that's what a lot of companies try to get us to do, especially with Disney as of late. Because Disney pulled out of Australia and pulled out of the Australian market, if I want to get stuff like Loki and like even the Star Wars things that I sold, if I wanted to get Loki, you really have to import that. Where's the back cover of it? There's the back cover of it. But you know, if I wanted to import Loki, that has to come from the US because they don't release in Australia anymore. Now, given JB Hi-Fi are importing some things now, but before JB Hi-Fi were really importing things, you really had to import yourself to get them. And given it's just as easy as going on like Amazon or finding like a shop in the city that you can go to and they import for you, it's very easy, but also it's kind of another thing of like, oh, well, physical media. And that orange light is really annoying. Let's bring it back. There we go. But the traps of physical media collecting is that you really have to be aware of what sort of collector are you? Are you someone who wants to collect DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K? And this is the final trap I want to end on, because I can just go on for hours about this one. The need to upgrade. Now, some of you know recently I sold my Star Wars collection, and the Star Wars 4K collection I'm really referring to. But I sold my Star Wars collection and I said, you know what, DVD is good enough for these things, and I really don't need any more than the DVDs. And a lot of you questioned about, you know, I put SummerSlam there now, but there was a thing with me where I wasn't watching Star Wars. And when I watched Star Wars, I was mostly watching the DVD versions because they just felt more authentic than the 4Ks. Now, some of you might also fall into that trap of saying, oh, but 4K is better than it's ever looked. This is a thing that Lord of the Rings collectors say, oh, I will stick to the DVD versions because Peter Jackson introduced different aspects into this 4K release. Now, given some people prefer it, some people don't prefer it. I'm one of the people who are like, I don't want to see any alterations to the film other than scan it, restore it, put it back out. Don't change things, don't change aspects of it, don't rewrite it. If you want to do that, do a director's cut or do a 2024 edition that sits alongside, you know, have a second disc like the 2006 Star Wars editions. But that's the thing, always make the theatrical version available, and that's what I'm always a fan of. Make the theatrical available, then we'll talk. In the case of things like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, though, I actually prefer the US cut. Now, there is a different thing to where it's like, I am not a fan of the Italy cut because they've taken audio out. They can't find the original audio that Clint Eastwood and Eli Wallach and all that recorded back in the day, and Lee Van Cleef. So they had to get people to redub it, and I think they got Clint and Eli back to redub their lines. So obviously Lee Van Cleef was long gone by that point, so they got another actor in to dub for Lee Van Cleef. I don't like that. I would rather just see the US cut at that point because I want to hear the proper version. And the Italy cut, honestly, is not the cut I'm nostalgic for. That's another thing with the traps. We feel like we need to have everything, and we have to have every cut available. I got into that trap with Dragon Ball, and I had every Dragon Ball release, Dragon Ball Z release. I had every Dragon Ball Z release. And I've been selling off Dragon Ball Z releases because I found that really my preferred version is the DVD broadcast ones, the original single DVDs. I prefer those because they're the ones I grew up with. They're more in line with the original dub for the when it brought to North America in terms of the Funimation and also the Ocean dub. They're more in line with what I grew up listening to in terms of Funimation. Now, back when the Orange Bricks came out, they changed a lot of audio. They changed a lot of the redubbing. And they, even though it was still the same people doing the same dubs, doing the same characters, they did change a few lines. Like, I think they added, Cell, once again, you have underestimated the power of a true Saiyan warrior. Or they added lines in there, like Dende saying Gohan at the Cell Saga when the Kamehameha battle's happening. Dende says Gohan in the original dub, whereas in the redub, it's like, go on, like more emphasis on like concern. Even though it's subtle changes like that, I still prefer the original because I want and feel like it's the version I grew up watching on Cheese TV in Australia. Now, there is a lot of stuff here where, as collectors, we kind of fall into traps. There are probably more aspects that I think about, like over collecting is one of them. Obviously, you feel like you need to have everything. Another thing is also choosing releases, also choosing between regions. Like, do you align with Austin Powers? This is a big thing that has happened in the space, especially in the Blu-ray era. So Umbrella released in the Blu-ray era a version of Austin Powers. Umbrella is an Australian company, but they imported the US release. And so when I had the Australian release in hand for the Blu-ray era of Austin Powers, it was not the cut I grew up watching. They removed Orange Sherbet, they removed the Henchman families. There was just too much removed. And the international cut, which is the version that is imported here from the UK, this has the cut I grew up with. It's the international cut. So there's the US cut and there's the international cut. The international cut is on here. And this is the version I grew up with. This is the Orange Sherbet, you know, this is also Henchman families. There's a lot of stuff on here that you don't see in the US cut that was released by Umbrella. Or released by Umbrella on Blu-ray in Australia, that I'm talking about. So when this came out, I was like, I have to get this because not since DVD have I had a version that I actually am happy with. And yes, I did import the Blu-ray version from the UK of Austin Powers, but it's also one of my favorites of all time. So there's a lot of stuff here where you kind of fall into traps. And I want to know what you guys have to say about it. Do you guys fall into traps as collectors as well? I want to know some of your experiences. Jump down in the comments and like have a good civil debate down there. Don't go off saying you're not a true collector, blah, 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 or you know, don't knock each other, but like have a civil debate. Like, oh yeah, I fell into the trap of this and I didn't need to have that. There are still people who will go out and collect stuff like, you know, VHS. Because with VHS, I got this copy of The Mask from Savers. You can see I got it for $3.50 or $3.49. I need about $3.30. But I bought this version of The Mask, and one of my favorites growing up, I remember watching it on VHS. And I never watched this copy exactly, but it's something that's a throwback. Now I have the Blu-ray version. I'm probably going to buy the 4K version as well. But for me, like, honestly, this is also aspect ratio. So it has a different aspect ratio to what's on Blu-ray. This was built for a full-frame TV, so they have little things where the top and bottom have more information, but the sides are cut, where you'll see the sides on Blu-ray. And also DVD. This is the thing where I'm kind of like, picking and choosing the versions you like is also a pretty cool thing as well. And the trap is that sometimes the older versions are better for you. Sometimes the older versions are just better. In terms of like, if you were buying Lord of the Rings, the older version some people say is better. Star Wars, the versions that were out 20 odd years ago on DVD in 2006 are considered better because they have that theatrical disc in there. There is a lot of stuff here where I look through and I'm like, where's True Lies? I'll show you another thing. What happens is that when they come to the new age, or the new digital age, or whatever, they go back and restore things. Now, this has a lot of digital noise reduction done to it. I actually don't mind this. I actually think, you know what, there's enough there to where it looks great. Yes, there are a lot of things where Arnie looks like a wax figure at sometimes, and then you see the next frame, it's like, that's the original scan. Then it goes back to the wax figure, and it's like, it's kind of jarring sometimes, but it does look great in terms of the visuals, and the sound sounds great. So for me, this is all right. That said, I do keep the DVD around as well. I do keep the DVD around because that's the original, and it doesn't have that DNR, it doesn't have any major changes. So there's a lot of things like that. But we get into this trap as well where we feel the need to upgrade. As soon as something comes out, hey, come over here, Haroldo. But, you know, we feel the need to get into the trap of, you know, we need to upgrade as soon as it comes out. Otherwise, who's going to buy the formats? They're not going to do any more 4K if we don't run out and buy it on day one. They will always put out more 4K. If it's selling, they'll put out more. Now, given the major labels might not do it, they might say, oh, well, Disney's not seeing enough returns, so we'll pull out of the market. But, you know, I think the niche labels like Arrow Video, like Umbrella, like Criterion, like even Scream Factory or Midnight Factory, whatever they're called, they do their releases and they're happy to do those releases because they make a profit and that's their core business. They will license movies. So even if the major studios, let's say all the major studios in Hollywood pulled out of this, there would still be people like releasing it. And another thing is they will leave gaps in your collection quite evidently, and it will really annoy you. Like I have a spot here for Scream 4 ready to go in there the moment they release Scream 4. I have Scream 1, 2, and 3. I have Scream 5 and 6. I don't have Scream 4 because they won't put it out on 4K. Now, I know they've done a remaster of Scream 4 recently, but I feel like they're going to do the box set, and it's just going to be like, oh, here's all the boxes in one, all the things in one box, and you get everything, so you don't even have to worry about going out to find an individual release. But for the people who collect it individually, it's going to mess with the completionists in us, you know, we want to complete that set. So yeah, this is what I'm just talking about. The traps of being a physical media collector are real, and maybe you've learned something from this, maybe not. Have a civil debate in those comments. Go down and have a little bit of yarn down there. Go have a town hall down there if you must. I might jump in there. Just don't get out of line too much, because I am quite ruthless with my box if people start saying, oh, you're not a real collector. You didn't watch Dr. Sleep, so you're not a real collector. I don't care. I do block people. Anyways, get down in those comments. I will put a video over here if you want to watch it. I don't know if I'm going to choose one here. I don't know what one I'm going to choose. I'll just go back through the catalogue and put something that I think's fun. And I'll also put another one right behind me here. If you want to watch that one, you can. And Geraldo will really appreciate it if you like the channel and hype it and do everything you need to do. Say bye, Geraldo. And don't lick the camera. I told you not to.